Welcome to the first episode of the iSport Report podcast. I am Brandon, and I have the pleasure to be joined by Noah tonight. How are you doing, Noah?
Tired.
You're tired? Well, why'd you stay up so late?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first I'd like to give a couple of shout-outs to Manny, who is producing us, and he's the one that's going to upload it to all stuff to YouTube. And he runs our iFunny page, the iSport Report. I would also like to give a shout out to Adam, or you may know him as Rizzo on iFunny. He came up with the name iSport Report. And also to Royals, who made a lot of our graphics that we're using on all of our pages. And I think Noah, he gave the news on our last first episode that got corrupted, but he has some news on our sponsor for this podcast.
Yeah. Boom will be sponsoring the iSport Report.
Yeah, Boom Sports. So a big thank you to him. We also encourage you to sub to our iFunny page if you're not already. And also, if you're listening on YouTube, if you could subscribe here and follow us on Twitter at iSport Report. That's all lowercase. And I think we'll put that in the description of this video. And also, I know we've already sent out a thing, mailbag that we may have in an episode soon. If you send us our questions, they may be on a future episode. We didn't get a whole lot of serious questions, so if they're not serious, we probably won't do that. But anyways, with that, I guess we'll jump right in to some NFL news. I guess on an unrelated note, Noah, I'm not sure what you want to be when you get out of high school. Do you have any plans?
Planning on going to the Peace Corps.
Peace Corps, nice. Well, I kind of want to be an assassin. So, do you know what they say when they ask an assassin to assassinate someone?
What do they say?
They typically say, you don't just say, "Hey, can you assassinate this guy for me?" They say, "Will you whack this person for me?" Have you heard that term before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that brought me to some conclusions to what I've been hearing about the new Los Angeles Rams quarterback. Have you heard about that? Since you've been a LA fan, have you heard? I guess we've probably been hearing the same stuff, that the new quarterback is not a very nice guy. He's been pretty mean. So I don't know about you, but this makes me want to whack off. Does that make you want to whack off, Noah?
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. Maybe with Manny recording, he'd want to record us whacking off together. Do you think that's a possibility?
Sounds fun.
Maybe even if we enjoyed it, we could get a group of friends to all circle around and whack off. Anyways, off the 13-year-old humor note, in all seriousness, do you think it was the right move for the Rams to start Jared Goff? No.
I think their season's to the point where they should just let him develop. I think getting him a few games is good for him.
Yeah, I kind of agree, except my thing is, I don't know if they had a whole lot of playoff hopes at the beginning of the year. I mean, at least not realistic ones. So I don't know why they just didn't start him right away, but I agree. The season's kind of lost now, so might as well. I guess another big news story in the NFL this week was the whole Tony Romo, Dak Prescott thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think it's exactly fair to take the job from Romo, but I don't think the Cowboys have any other choice with how the Cowboys are playing as a whole, and upsetting that chemistry just wouldn't be a good idea. I think you got to stick with Dak.
I think so too, and I think Romo handled it in like the best way possible. Honestly, I thought it was really classy the way he handled it. I don't know if that's the right move short term. I mean, Romo certainly had his injury history. I don't know. Maybe it will take away their Super Bowl chances this year if Dak does falter, and it could cause problems if he does falter. Then there's a whole nother controversy if he's going to be benched or not. But I don't know. I'd say I'd say it's the right move right now. And what are your overall thoughts on the Cowboys so far? I know we talked about it a little bit on our last episode that never got released. But maybe if you could give a quick recap on your thoughts on them.
Well, I think they're playing a little better than they are. They're obviously a great team, but I think their players are overperforming, mainly Dak. Elliott's an amazing player altogether, but I think they'll fall to earth, lose a couple, but overall I don't see them completely destructing.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing, I mean, when I look at the team, I don't know if they're like a typical year. I'd say, well, that's a Super Bowl contender because I'm not a big fan of their defense. I know I shared that last week, and I agree. Dak's playing a little bit over his head, but in the NFC, there's no other teams that have really separated themselves either. I mean, early in the year, we thought the Vikings maybe were the team to beat, and obviously that's turned out to be false. I mean, the only other team out there that I think is a real threat is the Seahawks right now, and even they have their own problems with the offensive line, much like the Vikings. So I don't know. I mean, the Packers coming into the year, they were, favorites. Cardinals, same thing. They just haven't performed, so I don't know if the Cowboys can sustain it, but at the same time, I don't know who can beat them. And I touched on my Vikings a little bit. I don't know if you have any thoughts on them or your team, the Raiders. If you have any thoughts, you can share it on them, what you've seen so far.
Well, from the Raiders, it's stressful to be a fan. Every game's close. Every single one. And, I mean, it's better than losing every game every year. Their defense is very worrying, and they've taken strides to improvement over the last couple of games. Still one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and the lack of discipline is obviously not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm not a huge fan of their defense. They're pretty young. So I guess, I mean, there's a chance that they could improve this season, during the season. I don't know. I can't speak a whole lot on them. I think they could make a neat playoff run. I don't know if they'll win a Super Bowl this year, have a very good shot of winning a Super Bowl this year, but certainly could be a threat. I don't know. They might be the biggest threat to the Patriots this year. And the Vikings, I don't even know really what to say at this point. They got so many problems. Their defense hasn't even been playing well as of late. Offensive line.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm not sure if they'll even be able to make the playoffs at this point.
I mean, I think there's still a good shot they can make the playoffs just because nobody is separating themselves in the NFC North. And I already said a little bit earlier, the Packers have turned out not to be advertised. I mean, the Lions are leading the division right now, but they've never won an NFC North title, so I don't worry about them a whole lot, and they certainly have their own faults too. But Vikings are going to find a way to turn it around. I don't know where it's going to come from. I guess it starts with the defense. They got to start playing like they have been all year. Offensively, I don't know how much improvement's going to come. It might just be, it is what it is, and hopefully this new kicker they brought in, he can be better than what Walsh was. So, I don't know. I still think they're a playoff team, Super Bowl contenders. I mean, that's laughable at this point. With that, I guess that's one of the predictions games we have this week. The Cards are coming to U.S. Bank Stadium to face the Vikings. Do you have the point spread or any other stats on that?
The Vikings are 2.5-point favorites, and it's going to be a defensive battle with the Cardinals and Vikings being 2-3 and defensive yards given up.
Go ahead.
They both came in with high expectations, and they've both disappointed quite a bit. And I think the Vikings take this one in a low-scoring game.
Yeah, that surprises me. Their favorites 2.5. I don't know. Since they played so poorly as of late, and the Cards have played a little bit better. I honestly can't pick them until at this point. I'm in. I think they can make the playoffs, but at the same time, I'm a little bit in prove-it mode. Their defense played awfully last week, although against Kirk Cousins has been playing pretty well. I mean, I can't pick them with all the the distractions they've had, Blair Walsh, all that deal, and Norv Turner stepped down as offensive coordinator. That's got to be a distraction. I don't know. I can't pick them. I think it will be a low-scoring game, but maybe like 2017. I think we'll lose it. It's painful for me not to pick them, but that's what I got to go with. And what's our next matchup?
Ravens and Cowboys, with the Cowboys as 7-point favorites.
Wow. Cowboys at home. I don't know. I feel like the Cowboys are going to have a letdown game here pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to be this week. Man, Ravens have been kind of inconsistent, so I don't know if I can. I think I'll go with the Cowboys, and I think I'll say the cover as well.
Well, if you want to pick an upset week for the Cowboys, this would be a pretty good week to do it. The Ravens have the number one run defense in the NFL. The Cowboys got the number 2 run offense, and I think the Ravens can shut down Elliott. They have a chance, but still, I'm going with the Cowboys.
You're going with the Cowboys? You think they cover or not?
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah, you think they do? And Packers at Redskins. That's a big game for both of them too in the playoff hunt. What's the down low on that one?
The Redskins are 2.5-point favorites, and I think the Redskins win. The Packers' defense, as we saw last week, is atrocious. It's horrible, and the Redskins have a explosive offense, and I don't see the Packers finding their way out of this hole they dug themselves in.
Yeah, me either. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm a Vikings fan, and so I don't like the Packers. But Mariota just absolutely torched their secondary. Kirk Cousins has been playing phenomenal the last couple of weeks. I see that continuing. Honestly, I hope it's like a 45-10 game. I would love nothing better than that. And I think the last big game we have is Texans at Raiders. That's Monday Night Football, I believe, and it's in Mexico City. Am I correct?
Yeah. And the Raiders are 5.5-point favorites. The Texans actually rank 30th in total offense, and with the Raiders' explosive offense, I really don't see the Texans keeping up with them. But the Raiders, like I said earlier, like to play close games. So I think it will be probably a close one. I think the Raiders will take it, though.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more interesting to me than what meets the eye. Right away when I looked at it, I said, well, yeah, the Raiders are going to win. But the Texans' Achilles heel has kind of been turnovers from Brock Osweiler. The Raiders not having a particularly good defense. If the Texans can hold on to the ball, they can compete with them anyways. I don't know if I have the courage to pick them as an upset, though. I think I'll still go with the Raiders. And I mean, it's on a neutral site, so that kind of makes everything a little bit weird, too. But I think I'll go with the Raiders. And with that, as my cat's annoying me here, annoying the crap out of me, actually, I think that's all we'll have for this NFL episode. Later in the week, I think we'll be releasing a little bit of an MLB look back at the season, a little bit of a preview into the off season. So thanks for tuning in. Again, send us your questions and follow us on iFunny, YouTube, and Twitter. See you next week.